you're watering wrong. What did he say? What? You are, and I can almost guarantee it. And it's very likely you fall into one of three camps. 1, the person who never waters. That's obviously wrong. 2, the person with an irrigation system and just trusted the installer how they set it, which probably is something stupid like it waters 15 minutes every night. Not a great plan. Or 3, you are the ascended among us. You've watched the YouTube videos, you know the recommendations, even the ones that I've made. And that's that we gotta get 1 inch to 1.5 inches of water down every week, 1/2 inch at a time. Well, my friends, that's wrong too. So I'm watering wrong, and the generic beginner recommendations aren't right either. So what do? Well, friends, we use our eyeballs and our big brains up here, and maybe our opposable thumbs. I don't know how, but it's always useful. And why are all of these ways of watering wrong? Well, no two climates, no two grass plants, and no two soil structures are built the same. Where are the trees? Where are the low spots? Where's the sunny area? Where's your compact area? Where's the sandy soil, the clay? Where does the wind blow the hardest? Where's the sun reflect off a window? All of these factors vary in terms of how much water the plant is using, and all of those factors vary in terms of how much water we can get into the soil at one time and at what rate, and how much water the soil can hold at any given time. And so again, we're just gonna look and see. And because temperature, sunlight, humidity, wind, plant health, and age all impact, all we can do is look for when our grass starts to show signs of a moisture deficit. And basically what that's going to be is it starts to transition from a very vibrant green color into something a little duller. And when you see that, and where you see that, is when we need to get out and water. And now we do want to get a good deep watering in, but what that means is going to vary. So what you're going to do is you're going to take your sprinkler, whatever it is, take it out there. And again, with our eyeballs and with some sort of measuring device, we're going to put that out there and we're going to water until one of two things happens. Either we get to 1/2 inch of water, or we start to see water start to pool and run off. Obviously, our wallets and the environment don't want us wasting water on our yard. And so if water is starting to run off, that's just wasted. So if that does happen somewhere, basically the water is not able to get into the soil at a rate fast enough based on how quickly your irrigation system or sprinkler is putting out water. So figure out how long it was, hopefully at a timer set, measure how much water there was, give it a little while for it to soak in, come back and do it again to get the right amount down. And what's the right amount? Well, that too depends on a couple factors. Most significant of which is age of your grass. Has it been around long enough that it's able to send roots down pretty deep and it's got a good deep root base that can draw water up? Or is it pretty new and that root system's shallow? The plant's drawing water up from its root system, so if the root system only covers this much space, the soil can only hold a little bit of water where it's going to be used, versus a root system that's 8-10 inches deep can have a little bit more water available to it. Sidebar here as well, as we talk about when we need to water, there is some physiological changes that happen within the plant if it starts to experience some degree of drought stress. That is, the pores in the leaf blade are going to start to close up, so it is releasing less water out of the plant, and also it's going to start to dedicate more energy to root growth to try to reach down and find more water. So if we can leave it in a little bit of drought stress for a short period of time, that's going to help in the long run have that plant be a little bit hardier. Other factors to consider is more compact soil is going to have less space in it where water can hang out. Also, loamier, more clay-based soils can hold onto more water for longer than, say, sandy soil, where water is going to pass through much more quickly. So you have to factor those things in as well when it comes to your watering schedule. If you're in a place that's very sandy, you're going to have to water a little bit less and a little bit more often than if you're a place with a little bit more kind of clay, loamy type soil. And again, this is very simplified information on much more complex concepts on evapotranspiration and how the plant is using water and all sorts of different factors. But this is the key for you, is we need to look with our eyes and be smart about when we're watering, and be smart about when we do water, how much water we're putting out. And is that water being effectively utilized by the plant? Another thing I've also found recently is time of day isn't maybe as important as it's sometimes made out to be. In fact, again, in what I've been reading, that outside of maybe the highest temperature times of the year where you might want to avoid watering in the middle of the day, it doesn't seem to really matter much between water in the morning or at nighttime. And nighttime can actually really be an effective time to water if you're on a good enough disease preventative type program to deal with what might be slightly elevated disease pressure of watering at night and having the plant be wet overnight. But granted, if you have any amount of humidity, the grass plant's wet all night anyway, so that really isn't as big of a factor as it's often made out to be. So really the key takeaway here is water when you can. And there we go. Watch for your grass to start to change from that vibrant green color. And when it does, understand how much water you can put out at any given time. Make sure you're putting out a good amount of water when that time comes. And this might mean that for 2 months, you might never water. It might mean that for 3 weeks, you water every single day. Let's all move beyond these generic recommendations that are good and good places to start, and you're not going to hurt yourself if you do that, but it's not the most responsible thing for your budget. It's not the most responsible thing for the environment. It's not the most responsible thing for our water supply. Let's make good budgetary effort, ecological decisions, and all of us together have the nicest yards we can with the least amount of negative impact. So hopefully that's helpful. Thank you so much for watching. If you have made it this far, would love if you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along to what I'm doing here in our lawn. As always, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.